welcome in, race fans, to week 19 of the Tricia's Learning Center Gen 4 Cup Series. I'm your host tonight, Brandon Massey, coming to you live from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway for what's sure to be one of the wildest short track showdowns of the season. Tonight, the stakes are high as we roll into the final stretch of the championship run, and after a long and grueling season, just 2 races remain. We have Bristol tonight and Las Vegas next week, and the championship picture is pretty tight. Take a look at the points, where Dylan Canova continues to hold on to the lead for Hyperspeed Motorsports with 2,135 points, but Mid-Tier Racing's Christian Proctor's right behind him by a mere 15 points. And then Royalty Motorsports' Matt Baines sits just a few back from there. You have Rick Raffini, Kenny Kuko that rounds out the top 5, all within striking distance if chaos would be to unfold here tonight. Speaking of chaos, this is Bristol, baby. We have a half-mile banking, short tempers, and a big payback where patience runs thin, fenders get bent, and reputations are either made or broken. There is no hiding around this half-mile. It's elbows out, full send, and survival of the toughest. But before we drop the green flag on tonight's race, we do have a little bit of a special meaning for tonight. It's Veterans Day. We want to take this opportunity to honor all of the brave men and women who have served and continue to serve our great nation. Your courage, sacrifice, and dedication make nights like this possible. We want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for everything that you've ever done for our country. Thank you, veterans. We are under the lights with just 2 races remaining, and everything is on the line. The points tight, tempers could get hot, and the championship dream is in reach. And for them, one of those drivers, Dylan Canova, you can see very quickly went to the top of the qualifying order. Fastest in practice was the 37 of Jake Raven. He was fastest in practice here tonight. I do want to apologize before we get too much further into tonight's broadcast. I'm a little bit under the weather, so if I sound a little bit stuffy, that's why. But I didn't want to miss out on these next 2 races because this has been an absolutely amazing championship run. Dylan very well could, though, clinch tonight. He's up 15 points, and provided the car count tonight is only 12 drivers, if he leaves out of here with anything higher than, I'm going to guess, 15, 20 points, it's going to be hard to knock him off going into next week. So Dylan very well could clinch a season championship here tonight. Brock Morris went back-to-back from Michigan to Road America, had a disappointing run last week. And when I take a look, he is currently P2 on the qualifying board. So we might just get to see that Dylan Canova versus Brock Morris showdown that we didn't get to see last week. But then, right behind him is going to be Matt Baines, third in the championship standings right now, only about 6/100ths of a second off the fastest qualifying time of Dylan Canova. And he could be having something to say about this himself. Christian Proctor sets right now 4th, our current 2nd place in points. And then you have Kenny Kuko rounds out the top 5. Jacob Wilson, Jake Raven, J.D. Van Kirk, Jorge Ledesma Jr., Jeremy Gill, Nick Raffini, and Robert Altman's going to round out the 12-car field. I do know that we have some very special paint schemes on some race cars tonight. I think that they're going to showcase them for me, and for the race fans at home. So if they do, we will go through those paint schemes and show them all off for everybody. Rachel, Dave Shiley says, I wish I could be there tonight. Not going to make it home from work soon enough. Dave, be careful on your travels home, and we hope to get to see you next week. Rena says, good luck, everyone. Let's go Hyperspeed and Raven. Raven was quickest in practice Rachel Van Kirk, go JD. Also, thank you all service members, active and past, sacrifice and service. Absolutely. Absolutely. My brother was in the Marine Corps. My teammate that I race with here on the iRacing service has a couple brothers. One lost his life in action. The other one retired. Veterans Day is very near and dear to my heart, provided for the race fans at home, you don't get to see me behind the screens, but I have a very gigantic American flag tattoo that runs down my right forearm. So very patriotic. I had 15 years in the fire service. So again, thank you, veterans, for the sacrifices that everyone has made. Let's see if right here's one of them. See if I can zoom in. This is Brock Morse's ride for tonight. Showcasing those red, white, and blue colors. Corn dog designs. Does a lot of paint schemes for a lot of drivers here. Robert Altman. Thanks, man. She'll be there next week. I hope so, man. I enjoy having you out here. Thank you for your service as well. Well, thank you, Rachel. I appreciate it. 15 years was a long time in the fire service. Here we go. Here comes my guys. Christian Proctor. You can see Brock Morse is actually going to lead him out. We showcased his a little bit there. Good looking paint scheme on the side of that, red, white, and blue. I'm going to take a look at real quick. Let's see if I can do, no. Chase. Rear chase. There we go. United States Coast Guard on the hood of this race car. I wasn't 100% for sure exactly what he had on there, but he does have the United States Coast Guard on the hood of his race machine. And then right behind him, JD, where JD's at? There's JD's. Fantastic looking red, white, and blue showcased on his number 22. Where's Kenny? By far my most favorite. Not gonna lie. Sorry, Kenny, you take the cake for this one, man. That looks absolutely amazing. I love that. That looks awesome. Nick Raffini, he's been in this race machine all season long. You can see the National Guard, red, white, and blue on his. And then Jake Raven. Jake also brings a very cool paint scheme. He's got the red, white, and blue liquid death on that race machine, and that looks super freaking awesome right there. So all these paint schemes look great. For the race fans at home, I just want you to know the time, effort, dedication that it takes for these painters, wrap designers. You know, Brock does them, I do them. I don't do them for people in this league, but I do them. It takes a lot of time, effort, and dedication. I know I talked about this the last time that we ran special paint schemes, and a lot of hard work goes into the thoughts, the putting behind those, but Kenny wins my vote for best looking paint tonight. Sorry, something about that race machine just looks freaking awesome. It's got like the plated up, just tank feel to it. Just, I don't know, just looks awesome to me for the race fans at home. So anyhow, it's going to be an amazing night tonight. I'm super excited about it. We do only have 12 drivers signed in. However, I think this can be a really good race. And I was sitting here in pre-race, and I just want y'all to know, as I was sitting here, I was watching. These race cars are a handful. We've seen them be a handful all season long, but I can tell you they're going to be an extra set of handful tonight, because these guys, I'm telling you, they're loose all over the place. They're just trying to get the throttle down. The right rears, I think, is going to burn up quick on these cars. They're not going to produce any rear grip. We're going to see them on off the racetrack. Right now, JD Van Kirk goes to the top of practice. I want to point that out because the fastest lap in practice, the original practice that we had, was a 14:73. 14.73. Right now, JD's laid down a 14.8. He's only 700ths off that lap time. So, however, this has no effect on what we're going to get into when it gets into the qualifying's already done. We know Dylan Canova, last week's winner at Charlotte, will be starting on pole. However, finding speed and maintaining speed right throughout the run. You gotta really be conservative and go throughout the run, etc., so on and so forth. And we're gonna tick off laps extremely quick here tonight. So it's gonna be a good show. It's gonna be a good show for the race fans at home. I'm excited about this one. I just want y'all to know. All right. Let's get the grid up. On pole, driving for Revved Up Racing Hyperspeed Motorsports, going to be the 70 Dylan Canova. Starting outside him, the 05 Brock Morris. Starting third out of Royalty Motorsports is going to be the 72 of Matt Baines. Starting fourth, driving the number 13, is going to be Christian Proctor. Starting fifth, driving the number 71, is going to be Kenny Kuko. Starting sixth, driving the number 51, is going to be Jacob Wilson. Starting seventh, driving the number 37, Jake Raven. Starting eighth, driver the number 22, JD Van Kirk. Starting ninth, driving the number 44, Jorge Ledesma Jr. Starting 10th, driving the number 4, is going to be Jeremy Gill. Starting 11th, driver of the 04, is going to be Nick Raffini. Starting 12th, driving the number 94, is going to be Robert Altman. That will be Tricia's Learning Center Gen 4 Cup Series starting grid. 200 laps. High speed, high banked. The last great Coliseum. Only 2 races left for a championship hunt. Current points leader Dylan Canova is going to be starting on pole, with Christian Proctor currently second in points, starting fourth. It's Veterans Day. It's Tuesday night. It's Bristol, baby. The pace car's off. The green flag is out, and we are underway for 200 laps right here at the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. You can see very quickly Dylan Canova was able to clear the second starting position. Brock Morris jumps out to an early lead. Right now, the battle for fourth is right here. You got Kenny Kuko. You got Matt Baines. Kenny a little bit into the wall on exit. No harm, no foul. Again, he's going to drive around the right, around the outside to move him up one spot. Actually, he's not going to move up a spot. He's just going to retain fifth. Jacob Wilson, though, currently has moved up 2 spots. I suspect this young man right here is going... Uh-oh. Hold on to it. Oh. Big wreck behind him, too. Jorge Ledesma Jr. involved. We've seen what happened with... Jacob. Gets just loose off of exit here. You will watch him enter. Sorry, not loose off exit. He actually enters. You can see the bobble right there. Catches it. Tries to throttle up. Just loses it right there on exit. He does lose it on exit. Locks him down. Does a good job keeping it somewhat off the outside wall. And then there comes Matt Baines, who was third in points. He collects the front end of that car. And then Jorge Ledesma Jr., arc a brake much, just runs over the back end of that car. Let's go catch up to who was that? Nick Raffini here. Yeah, just didn't slow up and just gets into the back However, this is not so here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. This is not really an aerodynamic style racetrack, right? I mean, you don't really have to have a front bumper on the front of this thing to get around here. You know, it's not like you're in the draft a lot. It's Bristol. 6 laps down just like that. Have our first caution of the night. We're going to take a quick commercial break while these, let me make sure the lights are still on the pace car. They are. Quick commercial break. We'll be right back with all the action. All right, welcome back. Lions is going to go out on the pace car. That means we're going to get this race back under green. Again, playoff contender Matt Baines involved into that wreck right there. You can see no front bumper on that race car. I don't think that's really going to hurt the handling of this machine. I really don't. However, the right front looks killed on that car, so could have a hands full. All right, stack them, rack them. Let's do it all over again. The green flag is back out. We are back underway. Very quickly, Dylan Canova gets a beautiful jump. Now, Kenny Kuko is going to try to get to the car. He's not going to get there. Kenny is on the move right now. He's under a little bit of pressure from Christian Proctor. See Jake Raven move him inside the top 5 right there. He is. JD Van Kirk currently riding 6th. Altman a little bit into the wall there. Nick Raffini. Yeah, that right front looks killed on the front of that machine. I was getting ready to talk about Jacob. Had a really, really good run last week. Likes to do a lot of fuel mileage stuff, and I was hoping we were going to get to see him to do that again tonight. These cars look a little bit under power, though. Got 3 cars all here battling for what's going to be second position. You got Brock Morris, Kenny, Christian. Christian a little loose off exit right there. Again, I think this is going to have to be a patience game with the right rear. I kind of feel like this car drives off the right rear with how loose they get. I kind of feel like you're going to have to be patient with that right rear and not burn it off too quick. Showing a situation with Robert Altman here. Let's see if we can go back and take a look at it. You can see there he comes. This car gets loose on entry. He's trying to drive it out. This is where you got to stand on the brakes to make sure you don't hit nothing. Yeah, you gotta get on the brake. There you go. Yeah, a little bit of contact, nothing major. Although that doesn't bring out a caution. So the race is still green. Dylan's still out front leading. Brock Morris, Kenny Kuko, Christian Proctor's top 4. Jake Raven, there he comes. P5. JD's right here, P6. Nick Raffini, P7. Matt Baines, P8. Jacob Wilson, P9. Yeah, no damage to the front of that car, so no harm, no foul. I'm sweating just watching. Yeah, dude. It doesn't take much of a hit to mess up with the handling. I've noticed with this damage model on the Gen 4, Dave, that the slightest contact will just absolutely destroy the handling of a race car. So I don't know if that's on purpose by iRacing. I have no idea. Very quickly, we're about to approach 25 laps down. We're going to have 175 to go. What happened to Kenny? Kenny must have got loose somewhere. Go back to fourth. That's the thing with these race cars. They're just so loose. They're just so loose and ill handling. I can have a driver running in P2 and then look back and he's P4. It's crazy. Crazy how it works out. Right now, Kenny is the fastest car on the racetrack, though. He's trying to reel in these two. And these two guys are trying to reel in this guy. Jake Raven, one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. You can see MJD right here. I know, and I can tell you, I know for the race fans at home, they're like, Brandon, you say they're one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Yes, I say that. But how? I see him like sometimes lose a little bit of time on the relative. You might. That happens. And the crazy, and it's unexplainable, but it like when I'm looking at the lap times right now, last lap by, Dylan Canova laid down a 15.2. Kenny Kuko laid down a 15.10. He's a 10th quicker. But when I give that information for the race fans at home, I need you to know that it could be 0.05 of a second. But they are the quickest car on the racetrack. I can tell you that right now, though, for sure, the quickest car on the racetrack is Kenny Kuko, and it's by a substantial margin. It's by about a 10th, and he's rolling these guys in. Dylan had a horrible last lap. He's allowed Brock Morris and company to close in. You can see Brock right here. You can see Christian right here. Kenny's got them in sights. They're all on about the same straightaway right now. There comes Jake. He's second quickest car inside the top 5 right now. JD is the 3rd quickest car inside the top 6. Nick Raffini closing into the back bumper of JD Van Kirk, Matt, Jacob. So 30 laps in, 30, call it 32, completing 31, working 32. The flag stand here, so that will be completing 32. We are starting to get into some lap traffic. Now, this could play a little bit of factor here, as Kenny has got to the back bumper of Christian Proctor. For the race fans at home, again, I apologize if I cough, etc. A little bit under the weather. I've been sick the last couple of days, so. Okay, so Dylan finally gets around Robert Altman, and that's huge because Brock had closed in. Now, what does Brock do to get here to get around the 94? I'm keeping an eye on this battle right here. Kenny's going to try to get the drive off. In fact, he will. He should have. Yeah, he does. He will be able to clear there. Brock just now, just like that. That's how long it takes. What was it? 2.5, 3 laps that it took for Brock to get around Robert Altman right there. And that allowed Dylan to open them back up a second lead. And in comparisons of lap times, you're talking 15.2s to 15.5s. So 0.3 of a lap. So when you think about it, at 0.3 of a lap, that's a second. So, 2.5, 3 laps. And right there, you've gotten all that lead back. Now, Kenny trying to make quick work of the lap car of Robert Altman here. In fact, he's going to be able to do so. Robert's been a great sport, though. Just moves up out of the way to let these guys go. There's Jake, JD, him and Nick Ruffini still battling. For the JD Vankirk fans at home, I want you to know he's the only 22 driver that I'd pull for. I say that every week, but I got to say it every week. So call it 1 1/4 seconds, so just shy of it. Brock and Kenny is laying down, essentially matching lap times. Let me see if I can't. I'm looking to see if there's a way that I can show you all what I see. There you go. So if you look at the scoring tower, you'll be able to see the last lap by, right? That's their last times available. Not the gap in between. We'll switch back and forth between that and the gap in between. You can see though, the Brock was about 2/10 faster than what Canova was, and then they match lap times, right? And so that varies as the run goes on. What I try to do is I try to watch as much as I possibly can to see who consecutively is running faster lap times throughout a stint, just to know who's doing what. The lead is under a second though. Again, that could have been some lap car issues. I don't think that it was. Brock has been a little bit faster over the last couple of laps, been by about a 0.5 give or take. Now Kenny's starting to slow down just a little bit. Jake's starting to reel in Christian. Nick Ruffini has gotten around JD. That battle. Jake is starting to reel in Christian Proctor though. Kenny is starting to slow down just a little bit. I think Kenny might have burnt his tires up just a little quick. I think with that starting position he had, he was trying to get to the front, make up track position. Right now, he's about a 10th or so off pace from the race leaders as they run. We're going to keep an eye on this battle right now. This is the closest one we have on a racetrack. This is a battle for position. This is going to be the battle for third. Sorry, fourth. Battle for fourth. This battle's going to be between Christian Proctor, Jake Raven. That's crazy. He's going to have a shot here. Disciplined driving. I call that disciplined driving out of Jake right there. He is quicker. I mean, this pass could take 20, 25 laps. At Bristol, you work over a driver, keep showing him your nose, trying to get him to make a mistake. Maybe slip up on entry, slip up on exit, something along those lines. You know, what does Jake do here, right? I mean, he's, you know, Christian's running the preferred line. You know, if you're Jake, do you maybe attempt to go to the outside here? Do you give it a shot? Does the outside even come into play? I mean, with it being in the nighttime, cooler track temps, the outside may not even come into play. No change out front though. Dylan's still out there. Brock, Kenny, Christian, and Jake battling here. JD. And then Jacob, Matt, Robert Altman, Jorge Ledesma Jr. He's still down there on pit road hanging out. Jeremy Gill. So Jorge just rolled out of the pits. There he comes. He's been down there for about 15 minutes getting his car repaired. 15 minutes, 18 seconds. Actually about 14 and a half minutes worth of. Let's get back to this battle. 62 laps down. Here might be the slip up. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I'm just going to leave it like this for the race fans at home, just so it doesn't do it again. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I apologize. I don't like seeing the gray bar across the top of the screen, but we're going to leave it like it is. I thought Jake had a chance. Okay, now he showed him the nose. Now he's going to hold him up. Now he's got to be able to hold him there. Got to hold the quarter. So there is a little bit of speed in the top, though. You see, Christian gets a little run off. It's better on this end of the racetrack, but watch, he'll pull back even. Just about pulls back even. There should be the pass. Yeah, there's a little contact with the wall. Move Jake Raven up a spot. Move him into P4 now. This lead is closing in, though. Okay, I got to fix this. I just can't handle it. I think I know what's causing it. I think it's Steam notifications. You're doing great, man. I appreciate it. Rooting on JD. Dude, I root on JD, dude. He's the only driver in the 22 I can root for. I say it every week, but that's the truth. Jacob staying up and out of the way. Again, early contact. First caution we had 5 laps in. Now we've logged 65 more. This battle was heating up. Jake is on the move, though. He's caught the back end of Kenny here. So we got a couple battles going on. We got a battle here, and then we got the battle for third. So we got the battle for the lead, we got the battle for third. There, okay, Kenny lets him go. Right? That's smart racing. I like that. Kenny knows he probably doesn't have the tires to contend. He's going to let Jake go. Move Jake up to third. So now we get back to this battle. Yeah, well, we talked to Dylan last week in his interview with his win at Charlotte. We had talked about him racing the 05 when the 05 was a couple of laps down. And his goal, he said, was to keep him a couple of laps down because he felt like that he was a threat. And right here, these two are. This is the battle between these two guys that we didn't get to see last week. Brock had that error on pit road, I believe it was. That's a good run through the corner. Dylan's searching, though, right now. Yeah, Dylan's moved to the middle. I think you got to run low here. I just think that the quicker line right now is the bottom, wrapping the bottom. Dylan just doesn't need to make a mistake here. The closest battle we have on the racetrack right now. This is the battle for the lead. As these two continue to race it out, Jake Raven is about 6.5 or so seconds off of these guys. He's trying to reel them in. This is just fun racing, I think, right now between these two. Dylan's making that outside work. I just think maybe he just feels more comfortable up there. I mean, the car's not really sliding on exit. Now, you can see right there, big slide on exit out of Brock Morris, right? So that little bit of a slide out of the back end of the race car is going to allow Dylan to clear off, right? Allow him to reset, take a breather, because you know he's probably going to come right back up here and he's going to try that again. Dylan looks really stable under throttle. Accelerating. The back of the car is not getting... Yeah, see that little lift in the throttle that he has to do, Brock has to do right there? That's the difference. That little bit of counter steer. Right now, here's going to be the thing. Now we have JD up here. These guys has got the back end of the seventh place right now. Great job of JD. Just gonna let these two battle it out. Jake has closed in though. He's made up about a second on these two guys racing. These guys, the way they're racing, Jake's made up about a second. You can see back here he is. Clear racetrack in front of him. Jacob Wilson just moves down out of the way. A lot of respect out of these drivers. One of the things that makes it enjoyable for me to come up here and call these races is the amount of respect these drivers show each other week in and week out. Don't typically see a lot of cautions either. Racing here is pretty clean. Christian starting to reel in Kenny. This is the battle for the race lead right now. I don't want to change off of it too much. This has been a great battle between these guys, and these guys have been doing it for many, many laps. Jorge's just going to move down out of the way, let him go. The Christian has gotten around Kenny. Looks like these guys are going to be able to get to a lap 100 on a fuel run. 100 laps so far on these tires is insane. Uh-oh, here we go. So Dylan, Brock, Jake. Jake's rolling these guys in. He's only about 3.5 seconds off of their... I mean, he's made up a ton of time with these two guys racing. We'll keep an eye on Jake. Jake has been about a tenth and a half quicker than the two guys in front of him over the last several laps. Move Christian up to 4th, Kenny 5th, Nick Raffini 6th, JD Van Kirk 7th, Robert Altman 8th, Jacob Wilson 9th, Matt Baines, Jorge Ledesma Jr., Jeremy Gill. That's going to round out the field. Dylan Harden to the wall. A brief look away and Harden to the wall. Been running that outside. So move Jake. Jake's about 2.5 seconds behind Dylan, about 3 or so off of 3.5 off of Brock. So now the question becomes, when does these drivers decide to hit pit road? I think you wait, caution. Take a look here and see what happens. Robert just doing his thing. Same thing again. Just that you can see it just, the car like almost like it bottoms out. And that will be the cause of our second caution of the night. It's almost like the car bottoms out and just upsets coming through the corner. JD is a teammate. Great dude. Dude, well, you can message me on Discord. I explain to you why he's the only number 22 I'd root for. Got to be getting close to pit stops. Yeah, I was thinking so too, right? I mean, we had already hit the halfway point, so you can see these guys coming. They didn't have a chance to really catch up to the field, but now Brock's down, Dylan's down. So now we're going to have less than 100 to go. We know that they can make it to the end here. I believe the only way these drivers come back down to do anything in terms of tires is there's going to have to be a caution. So a lot of drivers, though, might. Yeah, I don't think there's anybody looking to take a waiver round. Yeah, so these guys are getting service. I'm trying to figure out who was the first car a lap down. Was it JD? No, JD still a lap down. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure who the first car lap down was. All right, lights us out on the pace car. That means we're going to do this all over again. So we've already surpassed the halfway point of tonight's race. Green flag is bow, and we are back underway. Oh, Brock spins the tires. This is going to give Dylan a really, really good chance, but the fresh tires may prevail here. That was super close, hard racing right there. JD is the first car lap down now. Very quickly, these guys spread out. Brock Morris just laid down the fastest lap of the race, 14:95. was held by Dylan at a 14.97. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with all the action from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. Welcome back. The battle for the positions are starting to heat up right now. Brock Morris still only holds about a half-second lead over top Dylan Canova. But I've also been watching the battle between Kenny and Jake Raven back here. These guys has been within about a half a second of each other as well. But the battle for the race lead is starting to heat up. Again, I can tell you that Brock laid down the fastest lap of the race this run. And I think that's what happened to Kenny. I think what happened to Kenny in that first run was it went super quick. Really hard, super quick, right? And I think kind of burnt the tires up late. You just logged about 95 laps under green flag condition. I think you got to be somewhat patient with tires right now, at least for the first 50 laps. I think you got to hit the 150 mark before you really start to make any headway. That was weird. I don't know if you race fans got that at home, but Nick just kind of stood on the brakes right there very quickly. Christian's hanging around these two, though. These two have been racing super tight up here. Christian's kind of hanging around these two guys. Only about a second behind them, give or take. Dylan might have figured out something. He's been diamonding kind of these corners. And look how much speed he can carry off on exit. Look at this. Enters middle high, but watch him diamond the corner off. Like he pinches the corner off. He just carries so much speed. See that turn back down? Look at this. Enters a half lane, a lane higher, and just points the car back down and just carries so much speed off corner. I don't know what kind of effect this is going to have on the tires, but so we have this battle between Kenny and Jake, and then the battle for the lead. The two closest battles we have right now. Dylan a little bit into the wall there. There's not going to be any quarter panels left on that race car when he's done. Oh, both of them get loose. Oh, he bumped him. Oh. I mean, if this ain't classic Gen 4 short track racing, you can see both cars. And let me just stop it right here. And let me rewind this right here. And let me go to Far Chase, right? And we're going to go with Dylan here. Okay. Watch both cars on the exit get loose. Right, so Dylan does exactly what he's been doing for the last several laps. You can see he's already turning the car down. The car's coming down the racetrack. Now watch how loose both race cars get on exit. You can already see the 05, the back end of the car wanting to come back around. Right, the 70s wanting to start to come back around. The 05 right there gets a little bit loose, touches the wall. They both touch the wall. But now, here's where things get interesting. Right here, just a little bit of a nudge. I didn't mean to wreck him. I meant to rattle his cage, though. that shakes a lot of things up. That look, that's interesting, right? Because now Christian Jakes decided to stay out, I believe. Yeah, they came in last lap of 103, so they decided to stay out. Kenny pits, Raffini pits, Dylan's on pit road, JD's on pit road. JD must have got tied up in that accident somewhere along the line. That explains it. Right there. I didn't see that. I think this is going to be... Yeah, right here. So he backs it into the wall. He starts to come down. He's going to... So he holds the brakes. Jake barely gets by. Kenny barely gets by. We're holding. He thinks he's clear. Stops again. Yeah, JD just thought that he was going to continue to come on down and just tries to go to the top around him. All right, the pace car's off. We're going to have about 60 laps to go. Green flag back out. Christian Proctor takes it off like a bullet shot out of a shotgun just now. Dylan Canova did not pit, by the way. For the race fans at home, Dylan Canova did not pit. The first guy on fresh tires is Kenny Kuko right here. I'm showing a black flag for Dylan. I'm not 100% sure as to why. Maybe he has to serve a penalty. So, right now, as they run, Christian Proctor out front, Jake Raven second, Kenny Kuko third, Dylan Canova fourth. That black flag has been cleared. He's able to race. Nick Raffini fifth, Robert Altman sixth, JD Van Kirk seventh, Brock Morris eighth, Matt Baines, Jorge Ledesma Jr., Jacob Wilson, Jeremy Gill. That's going to round out the 12. That could have had a lot of playoff implications for Dylan Canova, and by chance it still very well could, because Raffini took fresh tires, right? So if Nick is able to get around here, move him one spot back. You can see here, right here's the battle. So there goes Raffini. Dylan, you can see that right rear is about gone. That Kenny has gotten around Jake Raven, though. He's the first car on fresh tires by about 35 laps, give or take. We'll call it just about 3/4 of a second to race leader Christian Proctor. Is Kenny Kuko. This has completely shaken everything up. Right now, I'm keeping an eye on Kenny. He just laid down the fastest lap of the race. 14:90 flat. And he just matched it for the second time in a row. 14:90 flat out of Kenny. Kenny's wanting to try to get up there. He's wanting to try to take the lead, and then he can just pace himself. I mean, he's got 35 lap fresher tires, and I think right now he's just got to be patient. Right? Let the tires come in. But how patient can he be? Because Nick Raffini's onto the back bumper of Jake Raven. They're moving the Raffini up a spot. Move him into third. I think Kenny's going to have to try to, if he can, get around the 13 of Christian Proctor pretty quick. You can see they're all right there in the same shot. Less than 50 laps to go. They're going to tick off pretty quick. I mean, at 15.5-second lap times, you're talking 4 laps, right around 3.5 laps a minute. Everybody's slowing down. Why are we slowing down? Oh, there's yellow. Okay. I just now got the notification for a yellow. I was confused for the viewers at home. I was confused. All those guys were slowing down, and I wasn't 100% sure why. Not sure why that caution come out there. Do not have a clue. Don't know that anyone wrecked. I'm not 100% sure. They are operating off of a single pit road, though. Jake somehow got back in the second. Kenny back in the third. Nick Raffini, Dylan Canova. Okay, this is going to be a level playing field for everybody now if everybody's got tires. Let's see. Christian's on the jack. Kenny's on the jack. Jake's on the rights. So everybody's got tires. There's the race off. Christian, Jake, Nick Raffini, Kenny. Not 100% sure as why. That's why there was a caution there. So we'll restart this thing with about 40 laps to go. I mean, roughly, if you think about it, under green flag condition, roughly about 10 to 15 minutes worth of green flag racing left, really. Yes, those laps going to go quick. Again, we want to say thank you to all the veterans out there. Allows us the freedoms to do what we do, to continue to protect us, home and abroad. We say thank you. Lights is out on the pace car. They're going to take that hard left-hand turn right here. When they do, that's going to turn the control back over to Christian Proctor. Once he hits that restart zone and he's in it and he's down and away, so is Jake Raven, so is Nick Raffini, so is Kenny Kuko. The whole field, there we go. We are back underway. We do have about 40 laps to go. Now, we know Nick was closing pretty quick on Kenny. Here's the battle for third. A little contact. This is what Christian Proctor wants to see, though. Oh, big wreck. 37 hard into the wall. No caution right yet. That's going to open the door for Raffini. That's going to open the door for Kenny. Dylan just barely misses out on what could have been another devastating situation for his points run. The fastest lap of the race just got laid down. Christian Proctor, 14:85. 14.85. Fastest lap just laid down of the race. I think you can run hard here from here on out. You had less than 50 laps. I think you can abuse the tires. I think it was somewhere around 45, 50 when we seen Kenny start to slow up somewhat. Fastest lap of the race just laid down. Nick Raffini, 14.78. Fastest lap of the race just laid down by Nick Raffini, 14.75. Battle for third. Dylan on the outside of Kenny here. These three drivers, their last lap times, 14.75, 14.75, 14.76. In fact, I'm showing Dylan Canova to hold the fastest lap. He actually beat that 14.75 by 14.74. Move him up a spot. The race is on, and here comes Pride down the backstretch. The battle for the race lead starting to heat up. Nick Raffini has been about a tenth and a half quicker the last couple laps. And you can see that gap narrowed down on the scoring timing right there. A little bit of a bad exit there. That's actually going to open it up just a little bit. Nick may have overdrove the corner to move Dylan up to second. All right. So now leave it to Dylan to try to run down race leader Christian Proctor. This is first and second in points. Right now, Dylan leads Christian in P2. Nick Raffini also in that points battle. Kenny Kuko also in that points battle. All these guys want to leave here tonight with some momentum heading into Las Vegas for the season finale next week. I wouldn't sleep on this guy just yet. 25 laps to go. We get another late race caution. I wouldn't sleep on Jake Raven just yet. $25 to go for the race fans at home. 25 to go. Call it now 24. Christian Proctor leads the thing right now by a mere half of a second. Over top, Dylan Canova, Nick Raffini, Kenny Kuko. That's going to be third and fourth. Jake Raven fifth. That's all the cars that we currently have on the lead lap right now. Sixth, Robert Allman. Seventh, Matt Baines. Eighth, JD Van Kirk. Ninth, Brock Morris. Jorge Ledesma Jr., Jacob Wilson, Jeremy Gill is going to round out the remaining rest of the field. Christian finding a little speed late in his ride. Last time by was about a 10th quicker. That time only by about 0.03 of a second was Christian Proctor. Over top, Dylan Canova still maintaining about a half second, anywhere between a half to 3/4 of a second lead right now. Call it about 0.6. These guys trying to run them two down. I'm not sure which battle I want to keep an eye on. You got Kenny slowly starting to run down. Raffini has moved up the racetrack just a little bit, trying to find grip, trying to find speed. Right now, Dylan Canova, Nick Raffini matching lap times. Christian Proctor still the fastest on the racetrack. Jake Raven, the second quickest out of the top five. Yeah, Christian was almost 0.2 quicker that last lap by. Raffini and Kuko matching lap times. 15 to go. The pay window starting to open up. Still about 0.6. Still by about a half second does Nick Raffini hold over top of Kenny Kuko. So Raffini and Kuko in now has made, they're within a second of Dylan Canova. We got 12 laps to go. These two gentlemen are starting to catch Dylan. They're under a second, call it about 3/4 of a second right now. Nine laps to go. Kenny has closed into the back bumper of Nick Raffini. He's been there for the last several laps. They're trying to reel in Dylan Canova. That lead has stretched itself out. Not sure why it's showing Christian in the pits. He's not in the pits. He is leading this thing. I don't know why it's doing that. There we go. Fixed it. 5 laps to go. Christian Proctor leads over top. Dylan Canova. Dylan second. Nick Raffini, Kenny Kuko right here. This is the battle for third. Christian coming to 2 laps to go in his Coast Guard collared Ford Taurus, searching for a win, trying to gain momentum going into next week to the season finale. White flag is out. 1 lap to go from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway in Tricia's Learning Center's Gen 4 Cup Series here in the Top Tier Racing League. And he will get it done. He will win. Dylan Canova second, Nick Raffini third, Kenny Kuko fourth. Jake Raven brings it home fifth. What an amazing finish. I mean, the battles was there. Just an absolute amazing race. Christian told us when he was the regular season points champion before we started the playoffs from 4 weeks ago, you don't have to win every single race to get yourself into the playoffs. It was just a matter of time that some luck come his way. You can see he's probably, this is probably going to be the biggest burnout we've seen probably all season long. Nick, it's Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do. How's it going?
It's a going, man. Listen, stellar performance. I mean, we watched you all night long. You was able to bring your machine home in third place. Take us through the night and what it means to bring your machine home in third, especially with it being Veterans Day and you having that National Guard paint scheme on the side of that race car.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's obviously a big day for myself and other veterans and everything out there, and I want to make sure we throw it out there that everyone, we appreciate your service. And but no, it was big to take home a third place tonight. I know I ended up ahead of quite a few people ahead of me in points, which was big, especially after last week missing out on finishing that race. I was a little nervous with that qualifying run. It was not the greatest.
Yeah, so take us through the 200 laps here. It seemed like the bottom was the strongest all night long. At times, the middle towards the higher line showed a little speed, but it seemed like the bottom was the strongest all night long. Take us through those 200 laps and just exactly how grueling it was and what seemed to be some really loose race cars.
Yeah, and it would get loose seemingly out of nowhere. You'd be good, and then you'd be almost turned around. But another way to describe those 200 laps is sweat. I'm over here sweating in the rig. But No, it was tricky. Definitely bottom line dominant, but you could get some good runs. Trying to do a late apex or diamond. I know I was trying a couple different things here and there, but definitely bottom line dominant. Had some quick guys out there tonight that were definitely just a tier above.
So when you was thinking of veterans there, I have to ask, you a veteran?
Yes, I am.
Well, thank you for your service, young man. I'm not sure exactly how old you are. You sound a little young in comparison to me being an old man, but I want to say thank you for your service and what you've done for our country. It means a lot to me and to the race fans at home, I'm sure, and we want to say thank you for that. You got any shout outs? Anybody you'd like to thank? Friends, family, sponsors, anybody? Just take the time to shine, man, and shout everybody out.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, team revved up. Got a really good group of guys there. They're there through the highs and the lows, and helping each other out with pointers and tips and everything like that. But other than that, we've got all the car sponsors. We've got Floors by Dennis, Circle W Farms, the No Names, and yeah, and then lastly, my family, and like you kind of mentioned, is all my brothers in the veteran community. It goes out to you guys.
Listen, congratulations, man, on a third place finish. That gives you a little momentum heading into the season finale next week when we roll out west to Las Vegas. And hopefully we get to see you there and we get to talk to you again.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
That is Nick Raffini, our second place finisher. Or our third place finisher. We're going to see if we can't get our second place finisher in here. Dylan, it's Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy? Dylan, it's Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy? I'll move him back down to hyper speed. Oh, we'll get our race winner in here.
The new
Christian, it's Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. You got me?
I got you, dude. Congratulations, man. Look, here's the thing. We talked to you back before we started the playoffs, right? We ended the regular season. You was the regular season champion, and the one thing that you told me and to the race fans at home was you don't always have to win every single race to make the playoffs, right? And then you go in as the regular season champion, and then here at what was seemingly probably one of the toughest races we've had, at least on an oval at Bristol. And man, you just found the speed late, laid down a very quick lap time early, and just was able to maintain Dylan over there to get the win.
Yeah, man, I told you a couple weeks ago, I'm not good at Bristol. I'm horrible at it. Yeah, honestly, the beginning of the race, I did not have a good groove going. It was rough, and I was like, Kenny's faster. Let's let Kenny by. And then I think Jake Raven caught me at one point. And I was like, I'll give him a little bit of a fight. Can't let too many people by. But then towards the end, I caught a groove, and I just stayed in it, and it held up.
Yeah, excuse me. I'm a little bit under the weather, man. So,
man.
No, it's good. So Bristol to me is very much a rhythm track, right? I mean, you got to get into a rhythm, your brake points, your throttle points, all those types of things. Do you think as the race went on, you got more and more comfortable behind the wheel? I mean, that typically, especially in a race car like this, I mean, I've seen a lot of loose race cars, especially in the 20-minute practice session we had before we started the event. Does that repetition, is that really what helps, maintain the mindset in terms of to put the right rhythm together?
I think to me, I was my arms were getting tired, so I was like, man, I want to put in as little work as I have to get this car around the corner, and it just so happened to be fast.
I was like, Christian found something. He because I've been watching and a lot of different lines, right? I've seen a lot of drivers entering like middle high, pinching the exits, those types of things. Yep. And I was watching it. I was like, man, he's found something. He's got a rocket ship right now. So, yeah. So, second in points, right? I mean, you're going to gain a few, maybe a couple here. Depending upon car count and what things look like when we roll into Las Vegas next week. What's the mindset once we get there? Because right now the championship's not clinched, right? I mean, you was only 15 points behind coming into tonight's event. So take us through the mindset, the momentum, the mindset going into Vegas next week.
I think next week I basically have to win it. Dylan finished right behind me, so I think that's only like a 5-point gap I'm going to close. So it's going to drop it to 10 points. I've basically got to win or finish 2 spots ahead of him, top 3 wise, like, or top 4, top 5 wise, going into next week in general. I'm pretty good at Vegas as it is. Hopefully setup feels good there. I haven't tried it yet, but yeah, just I think I gotta win the race basically to win the championship. So
Well, sounds like you know what you got to do. You know what the game plan is going to be when you get into Vegas next week. Any sponsors, anybody you'd like to thank for tonight's victory?
I just want to thank my nephew Austin. He's a veteran, so that's why I did the Coast Guard scheme for him. So I just want to thank him for putting his life on the line for the U.S. So
Well, congratulations again, man, and let him know I said thank you for his service, as well as the race fans at home. Again, we say congratulations on that race win, and we'll see you next week when we roll into Vegas.
yes, sir. Appreciate it.
And that was race winner Christian Proctor, and I can tell you, what an amazing job, right? I just a great job that he did tonight. I think Dylan is ready for an interview, so let's see if we could get Dylan in here. Dylan, it's Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I pulled you up. You must have had your headset off or went to get something to drink because of I talked to Nick and then I talked to Christian, and both of them. Well, Nick told me that he was sweating, and Christian told me his arms was getting tired. So I'm guessing that the arm pump on tonight's race just got really wildly crazy, and then I was just guessing maybe his headset off, grab something cold to drink. But listen, take us through what was an eventful night. I said it on, and you'll see when you go back and watch the broadcast. I said I ain't mean to wreck him. I just wanted to rattle his cage a little bit. Take us through the night. Take us through that incident and your second place finish here at Bristol.
Yeah, obviously the race started good. Obviously I raced in VR, so you probably caught me swapping from my VR headset to a regular headset. I think it's be an eye strain after 200 laps at Bristol, make you dizzy. But no, so it's so hard to adjust. I was getting ready to pit. I do, around that lap 100 is when we had the pit. So I was trying while I had a little bit of a gap because I knew it was going to get a little closer, try and adjust things. And the problem is you have to do it by fuel. And at Bristol, that's hard. You're trying to drive one-handed. I gave, I think, like a 1.1 second lead all the way down to 3/10 and 1 lap trying to adjust that, which got Brock right behind me. Then obviously we had that incident where we were coming up the lap. I think Nick, he was on the bottom, but I thought we were 3 wide, so I tried to run a little higher than normal and absolutely pancaked the right front coming off of 4, and the car didn't really drive great after that until we were able to come down pit road. Got that fixed, and then obviously so I don't know. He thinks I did it unintentionally. That's his right to think that. On my screen, it looks like he's tapping the wall pretty consistently, and I know I've seen it before following him, especially like Michigan and some of the other tracks where it looks like he's in the wall, but he's not. And so that time he looked like he hit the wall, and I turned down low thinking it was going to scrub speed, and then it didn't. And then instead of, being on the inside, I was like right behind him, and I couldn't blow it up quite enough. I think we were only like 1 mile an hour difference at the point of contact. So it definitely wasn't intentional. I know he thinks it was, but I mean, like go back like 5 laps before that, I had been running a group higher because part of the problem with this car, especially there, it reminded me of the trucks. If you were behind a leader, you were charging a corner, the car would want to get real twitchy under braking. And then you moved up, and then it got really tight. So I just didn't want to spin it out. There was nothing to gain by passing him. All I could do was obviously hurt us by getting Christian around us. So I know he thinks it's intentional, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean that's a very real thing in iRacing. I'm not choosing sides here, but I do want to let the race fans know at home. There's been many a times I've been in a sim that my teammate that I race with on Mondays, Wednesdays will be like, "Man, you just roasted that wall on exit," and I'm like, "Really?" Because I didn't touch it, at least on my screens, right? So that is a very real thing, and also too, right? We didn't get us. So he had the pit road speeding incident last week. We didn't get to really see. We know both you and him are fast. I don't think there was any ill intent. I think it was just hard racing. And again, much like you explained, it was just 1 mile an hour difference. It's short track. I don't, to me, it's just tough racing, right? I mean, and again, much like you said, there's nothing to gain there other than really there was a lot to lose, right? Coming into the night, you had 15-point lead on the points, and now that's going to shrink just a little bit, and racing that hard up there really could be a game changer.
Oh yeah, I mean, when we were trying to hold him off for, I don't know, the 20 laps before the halfway mark, it's extremely risky because, obviously we had a huge gap. So ultimately, I think everybody shows up because they want to win. And so, you don't want to just go out there and ride. There's no fun in that. So, but obviously, like you said, like if we have contact early when there's still 10, 11 cars on the track and you end up out of the race, Christian goes and wins, it's a 10-point swing right there. So it's definitely risky. I mean, we have battled side by side. We raced 20 laps right there side by side and never had contact. We've raced side by side at other racetracks. Last week at Charlotte when he was 2 laps down, never had contact. So I hate that he thinks I would go in there and wreck him intentionally with everything to lose and nothing to gain by it, because last season we got 5 bonus points for winning the races. That's not a thing this year. So there's really nothing. There was 1 point to be gained if I got around him. So I think as far as the points, I think we got the most laps in the end and got the fastest lap. So I think actually in the end, if I recall correctly, we might actually gain another point on Christian. Not to go back and look at what the gap is from first to second, but I believe it's only 1 point. And then we get a bonus point for leading the most and a bonus point for the fastest lap. So
fastest lap by 1/100th, by the way.
Yeah, so I think we might have actually extended the points lead by a point. I'm not sure how to shake out. Obviously, we took that EOL, the contact from Brock, because of the risk of getting a post-race penalty, and that might be 5 points or whatever. That's huge. So we obviously took it to be on the safe side. I don't think it was, like I said, it wasn't anything, no ill intent. I didn't mean to get into him, but obviously at the end of the day, we're racing for a championship next week, so we got to minimize the point damage. But I want to say we gained a point, so that's good. Just got to stay out of trouble next week.
Listen, I know you have people you'd like to thank. Give a shout out to, man. Now's the time to shine.
Yeah, Tricia's Learning Center for sponsoring the league. All the admins for giving us this place to race. All the other league sponsors that are out there that aren't, on the windshield banner. You for broadcasting it. All the fans for watching. Everybody over at Hyperspeed for taking me in this season, and obviously everybody over at Revved Up. Victory Fuel, Forced by Dennis, Trish, the No Names, Circle W Farms, and everybody that makes this possible.
Again, man, congratulations on that second place finish, and I'll see you next week when we roll into Las Vegas.
Thank you. I'll see you there.
And that is our second place finisher, and what an absolutely amazing night here at Bristol. I'm super excited about the finish that we seen. It was really good racing. It was hard racing out there. It was difficult for the drivers. The drivers had their hands full. But next week, for the race fans at home, we'll be live right back here at 8:15 Eastern time, where we will be in our season finale, and we will be crowning a champion in the Tricia's Learning Center Gen 4 Cup Series right here in the Top Tier Racing League. Again, I want to say thank you to all the veterans out there that has sacrificed so much to protect our great nation and the greatest country in the world, the United States. I want to say thank you. Without your sacrifice and dedication, we couldn't do what we do. I wouldn't have the chance to come and call these races and race on the sim, etc. And we want to say thank you. We will see everybody right back here next Tuesday night, where we will be crowning a champion. All the dice is going to be pushed in. There's not going to be any poker faces. There'll be a season champion crowned at Las Vegas. I'll see everybody next week. Thank you all for tuning in.